Yo, what's good, Hawk Squad? Today we are breaking down my Warzone settings to help you get better at Warzone. Keep in mind, I am on PC, so there's a few things that won't apply to console, but you'll still get benefit out of it. So stick around to the end. Let's go. So, I'm a controller player, so I won't be going over keyboard and mouse. That's the one setting I won't be going over. But make sure you stick around to the end to get the audio and controller settings, as they're the most important settings you can have in Warzone. So, to get started, graphics. I have everything on standard pretty much for graphics. It's all standard. Refresh rate, it's just your monitor, dynamic resolution. I set mine to the refresh rate of my monitor, standard, VSync, get a little bit less screen tearing. Custom, I did lower it for the menus a little bit, just to have a little bit less load on my PC. Brightness is an important setting. So, I run it on 50 because I find that's the best balance. If you run it too bright, the colors get washed out and people blend in with the lighter colors. You run it too low, people sit in shadows. So, 50 is a pretty good balance. Some people run 75 and they're very good players, I've seen. So try 75 if you can't see people, or it's like midnight rebirth or something. Other than that, try 50 and tweak it to your monitor. Everything else is default except for this, which just helps with a little bit more boost. You don't, just try and get the most out of it. 120 FOV because I'm on PC and I want to see everything. So here's the truth about FOV, right? 80 FOV, smaller screen, bigger target. So you got a bigger target to hit. Smaller screen, more recoil. So it's a big trade-off. Personally, I like 120 FOV because I like to see everything. I hate people sitting out of my FOV and I get less recoil, but you don't have to run the full 120. 115, 110, 100 is plenty and it's just a trade-off for you. I run affected because it gives you less recoil. You can run dependent, which will zoom in when you ADS. If you're struggling to hit your targets, try that. If you're struggling with recoil, try affected.
You stupid.
So, moving on. Camera movement, 50%, because you have cluster strike come in. Camera shakes around, right? It's annoying as hell. So, this lowers that. You can, standard is 100%, you can reduce it up to 50%, which just helps in clusters, airstrikes, those sorts of things. Everything else, pretty standard. I run everything on the higher settings because I like to be able to see at the best I can, because Warzone doesn't have the best graphics at the best of times, and nothing's worse than someone blending with the background. So, I don't have everything on, like bullet impact, because it's just one less thing for my computer to generate. Tessellation on near, just because I only want to see people near. If they're far away, it's okay. One less thing for it to generate. I have texture streaming on because I have half decent internet. If you are struggling with lag, turn this off. Basically, it streams part of the game and part of the map live, so it's filling up a little bit of your bandwidth. If you can do it, do it. If you can't, disable it, and it should help a little bit. Standard, balanced, because you only can do it on really high definition. These are important settings here though. Depth of field, disabled, motion blur, disabled, weapon motion blur, disabled. Don't really understand why they put these settings in. It basically just blurs your iron sights, blurs the world around when you turn, and blurs your weapon. All the things you don't really want. You want to be able to see the game crisp and clear all the time. Disable all of them. I have my lighting and shadows all on extra because I don't want to see a rose skin in the corner. Well, I do want to see the rose skin in the corner, and I want to be able to see them clearly, so I have all these turned up. If your PC can't, try a mid setting and low. They're not make or break settings, they just help if you can. Moving along to interface. So I personally have subtitles disabled because I find them distracting. A lot of people have them enabled because it will give you cues in game, like if an enemy is putting down a trophy system in the next room, that will pop up on your screen. You may not hear the deploying trophy system said by the enemy, but you will see it in your and your subtitles. Personally, I find it distracting, so that's up to you. A lot of this is personal preference. I have run disabled for a long time. I'm just trying out, not going to try and pronounce that because I'll absolutely butcher it. That third setting, if you're colorblind, obviously use whatever setting is best for you. Personally, I find this or disabled best for me, and just kind of makes the world in Warzone look the best. Tooltips enabled, so I always forget everything. Now this is just setting up your HUD display, so how far, like your health bar and mini-map and all that, how you can position it on your screen. Personally, I like it. These are my settings. You can tweak these to wherever you want. Minimap square, because you get a significantly bigger minimap. So if someone's in your top right corner on the square one, you'll see that ping versus the circle one you won't. You just get a little bit more coverage, which can come in clutch. I have rotation enabled, so it's always facing the way I'm facing, because if you're to the right, it's to the left. You don't need to be thinking, oh wait, if I'm this way and he's that way, boom, you're dead. Like, just have it enabled, so it's whatever way you're facing is the way the minimap's facing. Compass, personally, it's up to you. I've never really used it. It's only for occasional callouts I get to say. Someone says, oh, north. Personally, I don't use it. Up to you. So I have it enabled, but I just don't actively use it. Kill feed, up to you. I just like to see it in case I run into my mates, so I've got it set to 10 seconds. I always have vehicle controls on because I always forget what I'm doing. Close on buy station. So this is something they've recently added, right? So we all know how buy station work. You buy something, it closes. You want to buy something again, you got to open it again. So you can have this disabled, and what you do is you open it. You could buy 3 people back a loadout in a UAV, and it won't close. And then you just have to manually back out. Versus enabled is the standard setting. Personally, I like enabled more because I don't want to get stuck on the buy. Because with the fast TTK game, it can be infuriating if you forgot to back out and boom, you're dead. Personally, I run it this, but if you want to change it, up to you. Default. Now this is a very, very, very important setting. Default to focus on first loadout item in drop. Very confusing wording. I don't know why they don't just say it in plain English. Basically what it means is if you have this enabled, whatever your number 1 loadout is, the very first slot is what will default to what you'll get out of the loadout crates, and what you'll get, I believe what you get out of loadout crates, I'm not 100% sure. And when you go to loadout, it will spawn your cursor or your whatever on the top one, and you have to scroll. Versus disabled, whatever you select in the pregame, it will start there. This helps. Boom, straight on the loadout you want. Good to go. Chat text I have enabled. Any profanity filter just because I'm a streamer. This is all kind of standard stuff. I have a few counters just so I know what frames and latency I'm getting. This is all PC stuff, so sorry console again. Audio, very important setting, because in this game we all know we don't get any audio. Because I don't know. They decided to take audio out about 3 seasons ago, I think. So I've been playing around with this a lot lately since season 5, because they've changed the audio a lot. They've changed the audio and the lighting with season 5, so I've been tweaking my settings. For this, I used to be a big fanboy for boost low, because boost low would boost footsteps, like those real bassy sounds, more like footsteps versus a precision airstrike of a more high-pitched sound. Personally, since season 5, I can't hear anything on boost low, and I've started running boost high. Boost high is a little bit different. It kind of makes the background not so loud. It'll make gunshots really loud, including your own. And so you can hear if someone's shooting a floor above you, nearby. It gives you a bit more directional, and I find footsteps is a little bit better on boost high. This is dependent on which type of headset you get and if you have a headset. So play around with it. Try boost high, try boost low. Find what works best for you. Personally, this is what works best for me. Master volume, I have on 50, music 0, dialogue 50, effects, cinematic on 100. This is because, sum it up, music, don't need it. It's just a distraction. Last thing you need is to be hearing music when you should be hearing footsteps. Master volume, just to turn everything down. Overall, just get a bit more quietness, but bump up effects and cinematic, which is footsteps, gunshots, all the important audio in the game is under these two. Them on 100, it'll kind of tune out the background a little bit, and keep the important stuff loud. Juggernaut enabled because it's pretty rare, might as well hear the music. Hit marker emmed up because they're the loudest. Mono audio disabled because mono audio is directional. So if you got this disabled, it won't give you directional input, which is the whole point of the headset here from the right side or the left side. So disabled. Just what headphone you're using, which input. Disabled. This is all just standard. Standard. This is just for me, what I find voice chat and my microphone works for me and my team. Obviously, it'll depend on your headset and how loud your teammates are. Disabled because I don't want to hear other people's music. When I'm in a car, I want to hear everything in game, preferably. Moving on to controller. The very big, the secret recipe controller settings to make you look like Joe Woe and Daz Biffle. Unfortunately, they don't exist. There are better controller settings, but I'm afraid no controller settings is going to give you no recoil, not going to give you aimbot, but I am going to hook you up with the best ones that they can be. So, and plug my future content, there will be an aiming and movement guide in the very near future if you want to work on your recoil control. So, default, I run standard layout. I do have back pedals. Personally, I am playing on a Xbox Elite Series 2, which has back pedals. So if you don't have back pedals, you can change the stick layout to bumper jumper, and it will use your press down your analog stick to instead of using back buttons. So I have dead zone on minimum. So this is obviously tweaked per controller, depending on how old it is, what brand it is, how much abuse it's taken. So basically, to decide how much dead zone you need to set it to, is just open up your map in game. You can try, if your cursor's moving along the map in one way without you touching the sticks, you need to bump it up until it doesn't move. So I have that standard there. So I run an 8.8 sensitivity. So I will be breaking down in the future what you should be doing for your personal settings. So 6 is standard. 6 is perfectly fine. 7, 8 is what I run because I like it to be a little bit more snappy. Personally, the higher your sensitivity is, the harder it will be to control recoil. So keep that in mind. But one way to run a higher sensitivity and still keep recoil minimum, put on a custom sensitivity zoom. So this is what I run personally. So basically what it does is if you're running, let's say 1010 sensitivity and you have a 0.8 sensitivity multiplier, basically when you ADS, you'll be shooting as though you're on an 8 sensitivity. So you'll be quick and it just slows down when you ADS to a certain extent. So if I was on a 1010 and I bump this all the way down to 6, it'll be like I was on a 6 sensitivity. So I can move around very quick, but have very controlled shots. So very important to tweak this to what works best for you. Personally, this is my settings if you want to try them. Aim response type dynamic. So this is going to be a little bit hard to explain. So standard, what it does is to break down what they said is a simple power curve. Basically what it is as you move your controller, it isn't like it isn't a straight line. It isn't just moving it. So what it does do is it moves it at a different rate depending how much input you put. The standard is you put a little bit and it moves a little bit. You move a lot, it'll move a lot more. So it isn't a direct relation versus linear is. So simply the more you move, the more your aim will move in a straight line. Dynamic is like standard, but more extreme. So if you put in small inputs, it'll move less. You put in more, so you put in less input, it'll move less. You put in more input, it'll move more. It's like a multiplier and a decreaser, to sum it up. So if I move my stick all the way to the end, it'll be moving it really quickly, versus if I put it halfway, it isn't direct correlation. Personally, I run dynamic. I find it's the best, and believe a lot of pros run dynamic. It will give you the best response time for your on your sticks. Controller vibration disabled just because I don't need any distractions while I'm in game. Gas mask toggle, new setting, very good setting. Personally, I still run the standard, which is disabled. Toggle is basically you can put it on and off at any point you want. So that will mean you don't have to do the gas mask animation and when you're in the middle of a fight. As we all know, there's a very, very, very annoying feature. But you also have to bring up a menu. So your menu where you can drop your guns and your cash, you have to bring that up and toggle your gas mask on and off. So I don't find it very easy and very quick to toggle it on and off. Maybe if you're on keyboard or mouse, you could hotkey it. But personally, I run it just standard. But now that you know that the setting's there, you can try it out for yourself. Aim assist, standard. Basically, disabled, obviously, no aim assist, you don't want that. Standard. Precision and focusing are very similar to each other. Basically, they give you a stronger aim assist, but with a smaller hitbox. So if you're, let's say, 50 pixels away from, this is a random number, 50 pixels away from your target, standard will work, and it gives you a weak aim assist towards it. Versus precision and focusing, let's say it's at 20 pixels away from your target. You have to be closer to start, but it gives you more aim assist. It'll be more snappy. It'll pull you right onto that target, more or less, if you're closer. But there are a few differences. So for example, rotational aim assist is better on standard. You don't really get it on these two. So I run standard, and I believe most pros run standard. Scale aim assist with FOV. If you've, sorry console, don't have this setting unfortunately. If you do enable it, basically it just scales the aim assist with the FOV if you want. Weapon, just a mount, standard setting. Aim, down sight behavior, hold. Contextual tap, very important. So this is the reload, and I believe this is, yes. So you can just tap your reload button instead of having to hold it, so you can just be quicker and more decisive. You can more quickly tap, reload, and get back to the movement if you're trying to run away, break cameras, makes life easier. Bleeded ammo switch, your gun will automatically change weapon when it runs out of bullets. Very handy. Plate behavior, apply all. So put in one plate, have to press it again, put another plate, have to press it again, put in your final plate, versus apply all, puts them all in unless you cancel it by pulling out your gun. Very helpful. Movement, slide behavior to tap because you want to be slipping and sliding all over the map. Auto move forward, disabled. Tactical sprint, single tap from run. So it just helps you with your movement, moving a lot quicker. So double tap versus single tap from run. It's the fastest movement. And automatic tactical sprint. So the moment you go into a full sprint, it goes into a tactical sprint, which is the fastest way to move in this map. So helps a lot just in general, as well as especially in close quarters gunfights, especially on Rebirth, Fortune's Keep. If someone pushes you, you're 2 meters away, you need to get out of their FOV, out of their shots, you need to be moving as fast as possible. So that's why you need a tap to slide, or you just move straight into a run and you go straight into a tactical sprint, which is the fastest way to move. Standard, and I have auto shoot deploy off so I can get to the ground quicker, but watch out, you don't want to break your legs. If you like the content, feel free to hit that like and subscribe button. There's plenty more content on the way, as well as tips and tricks videos and just regular gameplay. Till next time, I'll catch you in the next one.